Welcome to the Listening Time Podcast. Hey everybody, this is Connor and you're listening to episode 115 of the Listening Time Podcast. I hope you're all doing really well. I hope you're enjoying your summer. Speaking of summer, in this episode, I'm going to talk about vacations. And I'm sure that some of you are currently on vacation right now, or you are gonna take a vacation in the next couple weeks, or maybe you already came back from a vacation this month, because at the time that this episode is released, it will be the middle of August, if I'm not mistaken. And I know from talking to many students throughout the years that a lot of people take vacations in August. And I know that there are some countries where the majority of people take their biggest vacation in August. And so this month is not a very productive month. There isn't a lot of working going on compared to other months. So I think this will be a relevant topic for today. So we'll talk a little bit about paid time off. This refers to the days that you get paid by your employer that you don't actually work. So we call this paid time off or just PTO. So we'll talk about PTO around the world, and we'll talk a little bit about school vacations and some things that I did when I had vacation time as a student in the past. So we'll talk about all of that today. And before we start, remember that if you need help understanding native speakers, if it's difficult for you to understand fast English because native speakers speak really unclearly and they reduce a lot of their speech, then I encourage you to become a Listening Time member so that you can gain access to my listening practice seminars where I help you understand these different sound patterns and reductions that are difficult to understand when you're listening to native speakers. So if you're interested in that, make sure to click on the link in the episode description. That's patreon.com/listeningtime. And if you're a Spanish or a Portuguese speaker and you want to read fiction in English, then make sure to check out my ebook. The links to that are also in the episode description as well. And of course, you have the transcript down there, so click on that if you need it. And please share this podcast with anyone else you know who might find it useful. Help them out and help this podcast grow. And lastly, please give this podcast a 5-star rating if you like it and write a review. All right, let's get started. Are your ears ready? You know what time it is. It's listening time. Okay, let's talk about vacations. So first, I want to talk about paid time off around the world in different places. And what I'm talking about here doesn't include public holidays, because there are some holidays that the governments around the world declare are holidays, and people don't work on those days, and they can get paid on those days usually. So I'm not referring to public holidays here, but keep that in mind, because there isn't only paid time off in different countries. You also have to factor in the public holidays in order to come up with the total number of days that people have off in different countries. By the way, when we use the phrasal verb factor in, we're saying that you have to consider some other thing in your equation or whatever you're doing. So you need to factor in the public holidays if you want to get an accurate picture of how many days people have off throughout the year. So, for example, I lived in Mexico for many years, and I think just recently, if I'm not mistaken, the Mexican government increased the number of paid vacation days that full-time employees need to have. So I think that now it is 12 per year, but if I'm not mistaken, it was less than that before. I want to say 6, but I'm not entirely sure about that, so don't quote me on that. But it was fewer days before. By the way, when we say the phrase, don't quote me on that, what we're saying is I'm not sure if what I'm saying is true. So just don't use this. Don't think of this as a fact, right? So I think that before there were fewer days of PTO in Mexico, and now there are 12, but I'm not entirely sure. And in Europe, many countries, probably most of them, have somewhere in the 20s, so somewhere between 20 and 30 days of paid vacation. And so that's definitely the continent that has a lot of paid time off compared to other places around the world. So Europe is definitely a place where workers have a lot of vacation time. And some other countries from different continents also have a lot of paid vacation time. I saw places like Panama, for example, that are near the top of the list. So there are some other countries from other continents that also have somewhere in the 20s. And then a lot of countries have like exactly 20 days or exactly 10 days. I saw a lot of countries that have that amount. And of course, some countries have in between there, maybe 11 or 12 or something like that. And then there are quite a few countries that have less than that, fewer than 10 days. And I think the one that you're all waiting for is the United States. Where is the US on this list? Well, in terms of federally mandated PTO, when I say federally mandated, I'm saying that the federal government makes companies do this. In terms of federally mandated paid time off, the US has 0 days.